So what can we do to prevent this happening? I want to make sure the firm I work in is not in that position. So what can we do? Continuing the kids theme, took the little children to Legoland. Great little place. There's little pictures of Canary Wharf, and I was trying to show them where I work. Daddy said, so you're a train driver? Because there's a little train moving. That's all they were interested in. But within Legoland, there's a little section called the driving school, where little children try and learn how to drive. So, and this isn't a plug to my sponsors here, training is absolutely key in this area. That's training with a massive capital T, not a small t. It's the control and preventative control that is so important. It's the only real control I have in my device. I don't want detective controls that monitor and test payments. I want to prevent it ever happening. We can then all sleep at night very comfortably on that road. But the analogy I wanted to talk through here was, there's some little children driving some cars. They could probably drive those cars quite safely at a slow pedestrian pace. They haven't got a license. But ultimately, all employees in your firm, whether they come from different demographics, young, old, experienced, male, female, whatever people's views or perceptions are, they all need training. So how do you achieve that training? I'm not kept up with the times, but these days, actually, to pass a license, there is elements of theoretical training, which is, in essence, CBT training, computer-based training. Providers like Walters will obviously give you computer-based training. Again, not a plug for our sponsors here, but the reality is that training needs to be complemented by what is the most powerful form of training, face-to-face time. You cannot learn to drive a car without that face-to-face driver-instructor methodology. And the same principle here is you can have core training complemented by face-to-face training. Face-to-face training is only effective if it's not dry. It's got to be conceptual in nature. There's got to be different ways of bringing this to life. With most forms of training, you only remember about 10 or 20% of what happened there. You'll only remember 10 or 20% of this conversation. It's what messages you walk away with that you use in your real life. If you don't take those messages and that doesn't happen, it's not hardwired into the DNA of the firm. Without that, there is no likelihood of success. So it's very important. The other thing I wanted to throw in there, and we talked a lot about policies and procedures, great. Firms need to have policies, procedures. They're like the car manual, the highway code. It sits in a glove box. When you're driving at 70 miles an hour, you do not look at the highway code, the policies and procedures. I don't know my firm's policies and procedures. I refer to them when I need to. But in real day-to-day life, you don't know what it is. So you have to train people on it rather than rely on these elusive policies and procedures that sit on some corporate website somewhere. So I emphasise, it's again, capital T, training. Cannot work without that. But airtime of employees and senior management is limited. So we have to use that airtime very effectively. Okay. The other thing I'd throw in there, and it's probably a relevant analogy as well, is to make a car work, what do you need? How does a car work? Well, you need fuel. That could be an analogy, you could take it to remuneration. Again, it could be payments from outside firms. What else does a car need? It needs lubricant. It needs grease. Not grease payments, but it needs something to make it function in a real world. I know I'm touching the boundaries. This isn't an explanation of it's all acceptable. But in reality, there are things that need to happen, and we've touched on some of those topics, gifts and hospitality. It's courtesy to offer people a cup of coffee when they come in. That's not inhuman. It's not entertainment. It's not a bribery. It's just normal behaviour. Where that line is and what's acceptable to the type of lubricant for a firm is a choice for all of us, but we have to be practical and sensible. If you try and prevent something in an unrealistic manner, it just will not achieve its end outcome. Okay? I work as part of a global firm. The aspiration always is to have one policy, one theme, one dream. I use the word dream because it is a dream. In reality, global type of policies have local substances. We've talked about the extraterritorial application. There's only one thing that will work for me, one set of standards across the globe. I couldn't care less whether it's FCPA from the US, driven by Chinese. It's just got to be one. I haven't got time in the day, nor have my employee and staff got time to figure out the minutiae of detail of if I'm in US, I need to do X. If I'm in UK, I need to do Y. If I'm in Holland, what if I'm in the plane and I'm chatting to a client? I ain't got a clue what country I'm in. So reality is, it's one theme, one dream. It has to be a reality. And finally, that's a typical client meeting. Don't see any policies or procedures. Don't see any manual to refer to. In essence, that's what's going to happen. This is where things can arise. Nothing untoward from that picture. You may interpret that in different ways, but nothing untoward. Reality is, those individuals, they've only got certain tools at that time when they're engaging with clients where things may happen. One of those is their inbuilt knowledge training that I've focused on, I emphasise continually throughout. The second is they've always got that tool. Today's world, we've all got a mobile. Typical conversation before somebody walks into that room, switch your mobiles off. We've all got a mobile. The key there, and the message I'm trying to get across there is, they can always phone a friend. The friend is your local compliance, AFC, policy expert to seek guidance on a matter. And it's that method of training is given, but that ongoing ability to help or seek help is always there. So that's what you're trying to focus that requirement. And the other element I throw in there from a regulatory perspective, we all have current rules that are designed to address these conflicts and manage them. The inducements rules today, from a FSA perspective, payments are acceptable with an intention of behaviour to influence and induce people to do business with you. There are existing processes and procedures that we can utilise to get to that right level, and that's well trodden and well accepted. So it isn't to stop gifts, entertainment. Activity happens in that area. We've just got to find the right balance. That's a work in progress. Don't have the solutions there, except for we will go, and it will continue to happen, that brokers will provide asset managers with entertainment. That's a reality. That's how business is conducted. It's got to be something that continues. It's a question of finding the balance so that it doesn't conflict. That's pretty much it. Ultimately, it's got to be hardwired into the DNA of the firm.